Hi, welcome to Online Stats Summer of 2024. I'm your instructor, Scott. If you prefer to call me Professor Davis or something, that's okay, but I prefer to just go by Scott. And this video is to try and help you orient yourself to the class, how what the expectations are, how it's going to be run, go through the syllabus, introduce you to My Open Math, etc. Something to note, we are using Canvas and it is brand new to many of us. And so our Canvas page, you will access, that's kind of our starting point, but the real class is housed on My Open Math, which is an external website. It's free to everyone. You might have experience if you've taken a course through Missoula College already. For many of you, it might be new, and I'm going to show you that as well. You should also have a welcome email, have a lot of information as well as your syllabus. There's just a lot of information to get you set up. Once we kind of get into the flow of things, it's a little bit easier. Unfortunately, with the summer only being 10 weeks, everything is kind of condensed. So highly recommend getting into our Canvas account, getting into My Open Math, starting to familiarize yourself so that you can ask questions sooner rather than later. So this is the student view. I haven't published the course yet, but this is what it should look like to you. You'll notice there is almost nothing here. The announcements page is going to be that welcome email that I have sent. I'm not 100% sure of the order of operations where you'll see things, but the welcome email will be there under the announcements. I'll post other weekly announcements. They will also be on My Open Math. There is very little here because, again, this is just kind of the landing page. Almost everything that we do will be on My Open Math, including the grade book. I might try and figure out how to integrate the grade books, but it's a lot of work to manually enter scores in 2 different locations. So I will show you on My Open Math where the grade book is as well. And I will have this welcome video linked right here in case you need to reference it again. Here's some little information about me. Email is scott.davis@umt.edu. Please email me anytime you have questions. I have an office in Missoula College. During the summer, I will likely not be in Missoula super consistently, so that office might not be very helpful for you, but if you need it for some reason. And then office hours, I don't have any set office hours because the course is asynchronous. It makes sense to sort of meet with students on a need-by-need basis, but please do reach out if you have questions. You can do it, you can email me, you can message me through My Open Math on specific questions. If we're gonna, there's a little typo. Maybe I'll have that fixed by the time you see this. This video is going to be long, I apologize, so maybe not. I might forget by that time. But email me your preferences if you want to meet, like your availability, 24 to 48 hours, so I can find a time that will work for both of us. If you ever have questions about specific content, please be sure that you send me the work that you've done so far, because oftentimes students will get most of the way through a problem, maybe have a rounding error, or use a t-score instead of a z-score, which will make sense later in the term. And the computer will just say you're wrong. I can see that, oops, here's your mistake, and then I don't have to start from the beginning. So anytime you message me, if you have specific questions, I will always say, what have you done so far, and meet you where you are at. Again, the announcements here is that welcome email. I'm just going to skim through see if there's anything. Hopefully you have read this. So a couple things to note. My Open Math, there will be the textbook, there will be videos. There are multiple ways of doing this. I have my preferred way, but I want you to know that if you use your own references or you have a tutor, as long as there's a mathematically sound approach that you're using and you've justified it. So if you are using some online calculator, you need to tell me all of the information that you're entering so I can recreate those steps. I think of like showing your work as if you're showing a classmate how you got your solution. And if you just say used online calculator, that doesn't help. You say used online calculator with these are all the values that I entered for the mean, median, lower bound, upper bound, for example, that will get full credit because I could now recreate the steps that you did and get the exact same answer. Or see where your mistake was and why you did not get the correct answer, and then I'll give you partial credit. I'm going to send out weekly emails with more information on the lessons. Hopefully it'll be fairly easy to navigate. There are kind of three, something to note about My Open Math is it's free, so it's great. Your textbook is no cost to you, the online homework, no cost to you. But the downside is it's open source, so questions are coming from different people who are using different textbooks, different approaches to problems. So therefore, sometimes questions will look very similar, but one of them wants you to enter your answer as a percentage. So like 89%, sometimes you might want a decimal, so 0.89, right? These are the same quantities, but we need to enter them the way the question's being asked. Similarly, if you're rounding too early, the system might say that you're wrong when really your approach is correct. Let me know if weird things happen. I've found instances where a question was just incorrect, like there was a coding error and I was able to fix it on the back end, but I don't do the homework along with you. So I sometimes don't know that there are those sorts of problems. The course is basically, there are three main parts. For your grade online homework, you have essentially unlimited attempts. You get 3 attempts per version, and then if you're wrong after that third version, you can say get a similar question and regenerates numbers, and you can try it again. You get 99 of those, so that's like 300 attempts. Please don't get anywhere near 300 attempts. Let me know if you get to like a second or third version. Please email me for help. There's no work to be shown for online homework. This is skills practice. This is you making sure you understand the algorithm, the approach, the processes to the questions. Your turn-in homework, this, to me, these are the most important assignments of the course. It's 35% of your grade. This is where you demonstrate your understanding to me by writing the steps that you got to get to your answer. Again, I think that in a math class, especially a stats class where its interpretation is really big, there's a lot of gray area, and that might make some of you uncomfortable because it's not typical in a math class to have that sort of gray area. But I want to be able to see your understanding. I want you to be able to communicate where your answer came from, not only so that you can recreate it, you can practice communicating the language of math, but then I can also see if there's errors, where those errors were, and help you improve on your math communication. That's huge to me. That's the reason we learn math, is to be able to communicate in this conceptual world. Then finally, unit exams. Our first unit is on descriptive statistics. The second unit is on probability. We go over probability as kind of the foundation for inferential statistics. And inferential statistics is where we make decisions and we make predictions. To me, that's the reason we learn, we take statistics, is we want to use statistics to, infer things about the world, not just observe and describe things that we've seen. The first 2 exams will be online. You will answer the questions online and you will upload your written work on a separate piece of paper, so I can give you partial credit, and as well as look for potential small errors. There are also points dedicated for uploading your work, because I want to make sure you have used proper notation and that you are, again, communicating the full work. That's why the turn-in homework is kind of like practice for the exam, and then the exam is now, look what I've learned. I read a lot of feedback on these turn-in homework assignments, so please do look at that, because I think, can improve quite a bit throughout the term as you get used to what the expectations are for your written work. All due dates are going to be on Sunday, which will include all the online homework and the turn-in homework for the lesson. And with the one exception, the very last day, July 26th, that Friday, is when your exam 3 is due. That exam will be a take-home exam. So the file is available to you now, and you will be doing creating a confidence interval and running a hypothesis test. You'll have a couple options of real world data, real studies, and your job is going to be kind of doing the statistics piece of these studies. This is kind of the information I've been describing. Again, please read all of this. I'm going kind of overview to make sure that it's important. All of the important information is said. That's the things, best practices. My advice for how to do the class: skim the text section first. It is dense. Some of you might not love reading a textbook, but it kind of gives you an example of what, idea of what the content is, and some worked examples that you can see and maybe then know to go back to check for later. Next, watch the videos in that section. There's probably several of them. You can always pause, rewind. I recommend still taking notes while you're watching these videos. That's just me personally. I can always look back at my own notes with more familiarity than just rewatching videos over and over. I recommend then going back to the examples in the text with a little bit more understanding. You don't have to go super deep, but now that you've had someone explain it, do those examples make a little bit more sense? Start working on the online homework for that section. Ask me questions if they arise. Don't wait till the very last minute. And then once you're done with the online homework, right, again, that's skills practice. Now the turn-in homework is for you to say, look, I think I've mastered these skills. Let me demonstrate it to you in this written form. And again, if you have questions, please let me know. If you email me Sunday evening when an assignment is due, probably will not get back to you in time. But if you email me much earlier in the week, we can certainly get together and answer any questions. I love helping my students online. We don't interact as much, but I am a resource, and I would love to help you, whether that means responding to an email or getting together virtually. This is the only second time this class has been run over the summer, so of course there might be weird things that happen. It's also the first time we're using Canvas, so just please be aware of potential hiccups. And if those things happen, I tend to be a very understanding person. Please just communicate with me. That's the biggest thing, is our communication. So next, our syllabus. I copy and pasted a lot of the information onto this Canvas, but I am going to still click on the file and we're going to go through it again, just high level. Please read through it more in depth. You will have a syllabus quiz due on Sunday, the 26th, in addition to all of the lesson 1 content. My advice: open up this syllabus page, open up your syllabus quiz, and do the questions one at a time. It should be very, very easy, 10 points, just to some of the big things that I want to make sure that you have seen. Right? Course description, learning outcomes, important for you to know, but I'm going to let you read those. Our textbook is OER. Calculator, no scientific calculator is required. I've had students that love to use Excel. Sometimes they have to look up their own videos, but you can do most of what we're doing with Excel. Not everyone loves that. So on other resources, TI calculators, there are some videos linked to the class for that. We'll be using CodeApp, which is an online free resource. I also have many other random links to specific tools that do a specific task. Or Desmos is another one. I'm trying to succinct all of the technology into one, but I haven't yet found something that does everything the way I want. So it sometimes feels a little piecemeal. Figure out what you like best and stick with it. That is okay with me. There's lots of ways to do statistics, but we want to use technology to our advantage. And if you're more familiar with a piece of technology, that is just fine. Here is again my recommendation for how to navigate going through the course. 35% of your grade is from the turn-in homework. Your unit exams are each worth 11.67 for a total of 35%. And then 30% is from online. There are a ton of online homework assignments. I will drop your lowest 2, and I will drop your lowest turn-in homework score as well. I say that late turn-in homework is not accepted. Of course, I'm going to publish that. If it's Sunday and you're like, I'm just not going to get it done, email me and I will probably let you turn it in the next day for 10% late. I would rather you do the assignment and make sure that you understand the content. It's very cumulative, so I really want to make sure that you don't have gaps or the class is going to be harder. So I'd rather you turn in an assignment late with a little bit of a deduction, as long as we're communicating. If you email me way after the fact, I'm not going to open stuff back up. But if you email me in advance, I'll probably grant you an extension, maybe take off 10%, depending on the circumstances. But of course, I'm going to say that it's not accepted here because that's the syllabus. Here's your grade breakdown. I award pluses and minuses at my discretion, never to your benefit. Sorry, only ever to your benefit. If you get an 80%, I will not give you a B minus. You have earned a B. If you have a 79.5, you might get a B minus, right? It kind of depends on if I think that you warrant that A minus or sorry, B minus or not. Right, a B plus might be an 89.5, and B anyways, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry. The big thing to note as well is that a C minus, which is mostly what you need for credit for your graduation or for your degree requirement, is down to a 65. So C is a 70 and above, 65 to 70 is a C minus, and anything below a 55 will not give you any credit for the course. Here's some information, more information about the turn-in homework. I've got another video with some more information about how to upload it. So the turn-in assignments are physical. They're the same assignments I have my in-person class do. There'll be a PDF and a Word document. You either need to print and write on that document. If you have a tablet or a computer that you can touch on, that's perfectly fine. Please don't use your own paper. If it's an emergency, I will allow it, but I have specific spacing on these assignments. I have instructions that I've written that I often like to reference. So if you have to use your own paper, I need you to label everything, the entirety of the instructions for each question, for each section, including things like don't forget units, because if you forget units, I like to underline that. You will lose points if you don't adhere to these guidelines. Please also, you need to skip lines so I have room to write feedback. Again, there's plenty of space on your turn-in homework so that you can write your solutions, and then I can also write feedback. When you're done, you will upload a single file. If you have a scanner, great, you can scan it all and upload one PDF. Another option is taking individual pictures and putting those pictures onto a Word document and sending me that single Word document. I have to download each individual file, grade, and then upload it again. So if each student were to upload 3 individual pictures, that triples my workload. So if you only submit page 1 of an image, I will only grade page 1 of your assignment. I'll probably email you and say, hey, I'm missing the other 2 pages, especially early on, but I want one individual file. It can be a PDF or a Word document. But I want one individual file for grading these turn-in assignments. Please again, read that whole thing. You're allowed to work with other students, don't copy one another. The big thing is learning how to communicate and showing an interpretation. Online homework, unlimited attempts. You have late passes that you can use on the online homework. Basically, if you need an extension on things, just communicate with me. I can be a little bit flexible, but if you're emailing me after the fact, I'm less likely to be flexible. If you email me in advance, we can usually figure something out. In the exams, you will have 2 things you need to do. 1, email me your honor statement, basically proving that you are not going to cheat. You're only going to use appropriate approved resources, and tell me that you're ready to take the exam. You don't have to take the exam the day that I open it. The exam will be due on a Sunday or Friday with the last one. You can get started early, but I do require the honor statement in advance. So if you email me on Monday, you can still take the exam on Friday. I just need to make sure I have a copy of the honor statement before I open the exam. Once you open the exam, you have 3 hours to complete it. You'll answer the questions online. You'll write your work on your own paper, which you will then upload at the very end of your exam. The work needs to be uploaded before you submit your exam. If you're like butting up against the 3-hour window that you have, feel free to email me right after. I say you have 10 minutes. If it takes you 20, that's fine. I just don't want students to, let the exam pass, look at the answers, refigure out their work, and then submit it. I've had students do that in the past. The work is meant to be, how did you get these solutions that you have submitted? Let's see. I recommend you check your campus email at least every other day. This is kind of the only way I have to communicate with you. So if I need to make any updates or extra announcements, you'll want to make sure that you see those. Please get started on your coursework daily. I can see your activity log in my open math. So sometimes students will try to say that weird things have happened, and I can look and it's like, well, you didn't start until Sunday at 4 p.m. to do an entire lesson. Lessons in the in-person class usually take a full week or two, right? 2 sessions of 2 hours. I mean, I would say that 8 to 10 hours per week is what I say, studying, reviewing, working on questions. That's like a bare minimum. And if you want to do that all 8 to 10 hours on a Sunday, that is fine. You will not be as likely to get help from me. But I recommend getting started early and being prepared. I will also try and warn you which lessons tend to be a little more time consuming or conceptual. Note, math can be frustrating. Confusion is part of the learning process, right? Don't let it drive you crazy. Reach out and get help, and we will fill those gaps. A lot of dates, incompletes, holiday information. Email me with student hours. Your syllabus quiz asks about some resources. You can talk about diversity, equity, inclusivity. You can talk about tutoring, ODE, any of these things, just to kind of show that you've made it this far through the syllabus. And then we have My Open Math. If you have never been on My Open Math, you follow these instructions to create a new account. If you have been on My Open Math in the past and you remember what your email was, you'll just follow these instructions where you'll say enroll in a new course rather than creating a new account. And then here is your schedule. So before 5:20, ideally, there's no due dates, but just things that are not lesson one related include this welcome video, reading your syllabus, getting onto My Open Math, familiarizing yourself, and a couple of videos before lesson one. I'll show you those in just a second. Then each week there is a lesson due. When it says lesson one material, this includes online homework and turn-in homework for that lesson. 526, you have the syllabus quiz due as well. And then you'll notice that 2 weeks you will have both an exam and the beginning of the next lesson. You are always allowed to take the exam earlier in the week if it makes sense. During the regular term, I usually give students a whole week to take the exam. We only have 10 weeks. So if you want to get started on exam one, like really close to 6/9, great, do that. Right, whatever's going to make the most sense to you. It's asynchronous. You can work ahead of this schedule. These are the due dates. I want to be able to grade things, give them back to you before you continue moving on, which is why this last week, lesson 9 is due on the 21st so that I can try and give you feedback before you complete the final take-home exam. Right, this is a Friday, not a Sunday. Every other due date is a Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Thanks for your patience. You're doing so good already. I can tell because you've made it this far, or you stopped watching the video. Hopefully, you at least watched it on just like 2 times speed or something. So also under the syllabus, so a lot of this information is repeated. Here is My Open Math. This is the summer online. I'm going to click on the student view so it will look what it will look like to you. Under the weekly announcements, this is where I will post copies of those emails that I send to you. So here's a copy of that welcome email. Messages up here on the side, forums. We don't really use forums. The calendar is really helpful. You can see all of the due dates. So the syllabus quiz, online, turn-in homework. You can access them down here. I wouldn't recommend that as navigation. I usually think of this as more reminder of what is due. And then you'll notice the exam one honor statement is due before your exam. So exam one will show up here once you've completed the honor statement. I put it on Saturday rather than Sunday, just so that it doesn't get hidden, basically. You can turn in that honor statement whenever you want, take the exam at any time after that. Doesn't have to be the same day by any means. So I recommend turning in your honor statement early on the week of the exams. Here is that exam 3 take home. But for the most part, I recommend navigating the course through the main thing. Your gradebook is here. I'm not going to click on it. There's nothing there, but that is where you will find your gradebook. One thing to note, there will often be 2 columns of your gradebook. One will say past due and available, and one will just say past due. Your grade, your accurate grade, will just be the past due. I make all of the assignments available, so in theory, you could finish the class in a week if you wanted to. But what that means is, because lesson 9 is available, if you look at the past due and available, it's going to count a bunch of zeros against you, so that grade will be lower. By the end of the term, those grades will align, but early on, just note you're only looking at the past due piece of the grade. So start here. This welcome video is going to be right here. It will be updated. This is a little Alan Watts video that I like to show my in-person class. Not recommended, just I think it's kind of nice. Textbook, some information about the textbook. There's some class notes if you want a little bit more succinct version. The text, I need to update that. There are specific links within the section. That would be my advice to go there. The one thing to point out, I mean, if you want to buy the book, you can, or the class notes, again, I think are kind of nice little cheat sheet. There's a video on how to use My Open Math. There's an intro assignment. If you would like, it is not graded, but it might be helpful. The important thing is, here is our syllabus. Here is our syllabus quiz. It is worth a homework assignment. It is pretty straightforward. Again, open your syllabus and get through it. Before you get started, you need to watch this video, and I will probably tell you to rewatch this video multiple times, because by the time you start doing other things in the class, you will probably forget some of these instructions. But this is going to show you how to interpret values in context, which is something I'll ask you to do, how you can show work, and then how to condense images so you can upload a single PDF file. So that video is required before you get started on the class. Virtual Cafe, would love to get to know you a little bit. It's not a graded assignment, but I think it's nice to get to know your classmates and get to know me. I mean, at least a little bit. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a big runner. I love math, obviously. I'm getting into ultras, so I will be running 108K in June, which is the furthest distance I have done so far. And then after that, looking forward to taking a little bit of a break from running and hopefully enjoying some other fun activities that we can do in Missoula in the summer, getting on the river or mountain biking. I grew up in Spokane, Washington. I went to Gonzaga University for my undergrad, University of Montana for graduate school, got my master's in math there, and knew I wanted to teach. And I'm super grateful to be doing it here in Missoula still. If you live in Missoula, you understand why I love living here. I'm not going to share a meme or a joke. Hopefully you'll get enough of my general personality through my emails and these videos and stuff. Student success advice, graphing calculator help. We'll use this code app. It's also linked other places. I don't know if you really need anything else in there, but feel free to poke around and explore. So again, there's 3 units. Descriptive statistics is lesson 2. Lesson 1 is kind of like, how do I do statistics properly? What is data? How do we collect data? What are things we should be aware of when we are looking at data? Descriptive statistics is now making graphs, doing some basic calculations like finding the average, finding the mean, finding a standard deviation. And then linear regression is normally this is done in inferential statistics, but we take away the inference part and we have students We connect it to descriptive statistics because we're making a graph, we're making a scatter plot to look at the relationship between two variables. We only do that for linear regressions. We don't do it for exponential or power or any other types of models that might exist. So it's a very basic level introduction to regression and correlation. Then you can see that here's a video about the honor statement for your exam. So make sure you watch those before. We're going to go right into lesson 1. Each lesson will have an intro video. The first 3 lessons also have PowerPoints that I use to teach my in-person class. I don't do them after the first 3 lessons because then we start doing more math. I am not a huge fan of just handwriting vocab, and most of lesson 1 is vocab. So I use the PowerPoint and I have a little handout that I give to my students. So feel free to use those, not recommended or not required, but it is an option for you. So this is what each section looks like. So lesson 1 will have different subsections. So 1.1 here is the textbook, right? Lots of information. My recommendation, again, go through it just briefly, getting some of the ideas, the videos, and then the homework. So I'll show you what the homework looks like. You attempt each problem 3 times. I'll go to a different one as well. So this first unit is pretty much all vocabulary. So lesson 1 is not super interesting to me in terms of mathematics. It's very important in terms of doing statistics appropriately. So this is kind of what is statistics, how do we collect data, how do we take samples, how do we present that information, and how do we ethically run statistics. At the end of the lessons, once you've made it through all the videos and the text and the online homework, we will have the turn-in assignment. Each of these also has a video. Please watch them. It's very obvious when students have not watched them because I go over the expectations of the assignments themselves. The first couple assignments have an online portion as well. So let's turn in homework 1. We'll have a place for you to upload the file, which was linked at the beginning, and then a second question that you will do online. Otherwise, most of your turn-in assignments will just be an assignment itself. If you prefer Word, you can open the Word. If you prefer PDF, here is the PDF. And so you will fill this out completely, again, using ideally this assignment either printed out or downloaded onto an iPad or something and you handwritten notes. What I do is I grade on my iPad. So I download the files that you have, write my feedback, upload them back to you in the feedback section of the assignment. Let's see. These first 3 all have online turn-in stuff and like the online assignment and a turn-in piece. Trying to think if there's anything that I am forgetting. Let's see. Let's just go to an example of something that you might see sometimes is I will post other links, so like a binomial probability calculator. If you use a TI, great, that's wonderful. But you're allowed to use this online resource. Just be sure if you use the online resource for your work, you tell me what you've entered here, including probability of success, number of trials, number of successes, and which of these options you're using. That way I can recreate the steps and see where your potential mistake was. If I just see a number and there's no justification, I can't give any sort of partial credit. I don't know where that number came from. If I can see that you accidentally used a strictly less than instead of a less than or equal to, now I can give you most of the points. You recognized it was binomial. You have all the other criteria correct. You just had one tiny little detail. I'm not going to try and figure out where your mistake was, but if I can see where your mistake was, I'll give you credit for the pieces that you deserve. I believe that's everything I really want to say for getting started. I fully anticipate questions to arise. I fully anticipate myself to have more information coming at you. But off the top of my head, I think that's everything you need to get started. Um, Please go start poking around. Last year I accidentally forgot to publish the page, so I really want to make sure that little things like this are not happening and we hit the ground running this summer. So glad to have you in my class. I really hope that we get to interact a little bit more than just the turn-in assignments, but at the very least, I'll get to know you a little bit through those turn-in assignments as I write the feedback, and you'll get a little bit more information about me or get a little bit more of my vibe when you watch those videos. One thing to note, I did not record most of the videos. There are a few instances where I have videos, like I recorded the intro videos for each lesson, but the video here, like the linked video, comes from YouTube. It is not my content. If you ever find a video that doesn't have like closed captioning, for example, please let me know. I'll make sure that we get that taken care of. Um, yeah, all right. That's all for now. Have a great last weekend before class officially starts, or feel free to get started right away. Um, Welcome to summer.